her neighbors and relatives heard that the Lord had shown her great mercy, and they shared her joy. It turns out that mercy is a significant theme of this passage we're looking at this morning, both the story of John's birth and the prophecy that goes along with it. And because this is a significant part of the passage, I want to take some time, and God kind of put it on my heart, to take some time to kind of camp out on this topic of mercy. Now, the reason I know that this is a significant topic in this passage is, well, you can obviously see it right here as soon as I highlight it. This topic of mercy shows up 3 times in the passage. We just read that God showed Elizabeth great mercy, and then during the prophecy, Zechariah mentions it twice. He says that God shows mercy, and he talks about the tender mercy of our God. So the basic point is that our God is a God of great mercy. But what does that mean? Let's think about it a little bit more and spend some time trying to get this truth clear in our minds and understanding it and feeling it, because it's important. This word tender mercy here, it comes from 2 Greek words, splachna eleus. The second word is just the word that's normally translated mercy. The first word, splachna, it literally, the most literal meaning was the inside parts of a person's stomach, so your bowels or your intestines. Now, that's not what it's being used to mean here. Just like if I tell Hope, honey, I love you with all my heart, I'm not talking about the physical organ that's beating blood. I'm talking about with all of my feelings and all of my life. And the Greeks used this word splachna to talk about if you felt something really deeply down in your gut. Now, sometimes you feel something and you feel it in your chest, but sometimes you kind of feel it in your gut. And this is where they got this word from. So the word originally, and it still could be used literally to mean your guts, but it came to mean often compassion. And what it's saying is that God has this type of compassionate mercy. And it's important that we don't think of God as being cold and emotionless. It's not like he's a computer and he calculates how much mercy you need. Mickey's had a stressful week. He's had 15 points of stress. Let's give him 15 points of mercy. It's not cold and calculating like that. God cares and he feels. Now, you might wonder, can great God up there really feel compassion for us and have this emotional response? He can and he does. And we can relate to this. This is an analogy that's far from perfect. But even if we see an animal suffering, sometimes we feel compassion for that animal. Now, we are much more valuable than an animal, and God has compassion on us. And not only that, remember that God the Son became one of us. So if God feels compassion for us, sometimes people say he feels our pain, and that's become kind of a trite saying. But in God's case, he really does feel compassion for the difficult things in our life, and this deep feeling of compassion leads to merciful action. And then thinking about what does the word mercy itself mean, a really good definition I found is in a book by Wayne Grudem. Now, Grudem has wrote a lot of books. Here I'm referring to is probably his most famous book, which is this big, thick blue book called Systematic Theology. And if you think systematic theology is boring, you should read Grudem's book, and you'll find out it's not. There are some systematic theologies that are boring, but Grudem's is not. And it is really just filled with insight and biblical truth. And he has chapters on the attributes of God, and one of the attributes is mercy. And he came up with this definition, and I'm pretty sure the way he did it was by looking at lots of examples throughout the Bible that talks about God showing mercy. And I also looked at lots of examples, and when I saw his definition, I was like, he got it. He nailed it. So God's mercy means God's goodness toward those in misery and distress. God's mercy means God's goodness towards those in misery and distress. Now, God's mercy applies to both immediate, personal, private needs in each one of our individual lives, and also to universal, deep needs that the whole human race has. It works on all these different levels. So, for instance, in this story, there was a very personal, distressing situation for Zechariah and for Elizabeth. And the situation was that they wanted children, and they didn't have children, and it seemed like they wouldn't be able to. And God had mercy on her, the story says, by blessing her with a child in a miraculous way beyond the age when you could normally have children. But then this mercy also applies to our great, deep need for salvation. God sees that we have blown it, we've sinned against Him, we've rebelled, we cannot save ourselves. He could have let us go our own way to destruction, but He intervenes. He sees us in our miserable, helpless condition, and He intervenes with mercy, bringing us salvation through Jesus Christ. Now, thinking about God's mercy and His help, I was thinking that we want to really apply this, but I was thinking, who would it apply to? And I thought maybe it'd be better to say, who doesn't need God's mercy today? So I was thinking, if there's anybody here and there are no difficult situations in your life, if nothing painful is going on in your life or in the lives of people you care about, because that also affects us, if there's nothing causing you stress, if there's no situation that you wish you could change but you can't change, then you might not need this mercy thing. The rest of us need it, including me, and I'm pretty sure that's going to include all of us. We all need God's mercy. Now, I was thinking, and God just put this on my heart to do this. I don't want to just talk about this. I want to apply this. And all throughout the Bible, God's the one showing mercy, but we do have a part to play. God is pleased when we call out to Him and ask for mercy. And in fact, if you look up, if you get a concordance, or you can do this on a computer, you will see that over and over and over and over and over and over again throughout the Bible, and there's a whole huge pile of examples in Psalms, people are praying to God basically this prayer: have mercy on me, my God, have mercy on me. And then they fill in the details. These enemies are attacking me. I've sinned and I'm under judgment. I need forgiveness. I'm sick and I need healing. But the basic prayer is, God, have mercy on me. I'm in a difficult, painful, stressful situation. I need your help, Lord. Have mercy on me. And we're not at the end of the sermon yet, but I want to stop right in the middle of the sermon, and I want to just have a minute or so of silent prayer. Well, I don't care if you choose to pray out loud, but that's not what I'm asking you to do. And I would just want to have a minute or so, and everyone can begin this prayer like this: God, have mercy on me, and then you fill in. There's probably a lot of situations. I know a minute or two isn't going to be enough for you to mention all the situations, but something on your heart where you want to cry out for mercy. And I don't think there's anyone who doesn't need it, but if you feel, if nothing comes to mind, you just pray for the person next to you or the person up here in front, because we all need a lot of God's mercy. So let's just take a minute and be quiet and pray.